Malcolm Sterling never entered shelters. They were meant to be solved by donations, not footsteps. Yet on a rain-drowned afternoon, his driver stopped beside a brick building that smelled of bleach and boiled rice, and Malcolm stepped inside, irritation tightening his jaw. Rows of metal cots lined the hall. Children whispered. A volunteer spoke softly. Then Malcolm saw her. She sat cross-legged on a narrow cot, too thin for her oversized sweater, dark curls escaping a frayed hair tie. She was reading a book upside down, lips moving, pretending not to watch the door. When she looked up, Malcolm felt the floor tilt. Those eyes, his son's eyes, looked back, guarded and old. He told himself coincidence was cruel but common. Still, his chest burned. "What's your name?" he asked gently. The girl hesitated. "Lena." The name struck like a bell. Lena Sterling. Printed on trust documents he had signed with a gold pen. After his son's funeral, hands shaking, heartbroken. $2 million. Education. Housing. Safety. Protection. Malcolm swallowed. "Who's your family, Lena?" She shrugged. "I stay where they send me." The volunteer explained quickly. Temporary placement. Behavioral issues. A stepmother overwhelmed. Malcolm listened, nodding, counting breaths. He noticed Lena's shoes, soles peeling, toes damp. He noticed how she flinched when a tray clattered. He noticed how she hid half a bread roll in her pocket. Pain rose, sharp and accusing. "Do you know your grandfather?" Malcolm asked. Lena studied his face like a puzzle missing pieces. "I don't have one." The words hollowed him. He knelt so their eyes met. "Lena, someone set aside money for you. A lot of it. To keep you safe." Her mouth twitched. Then she laughed, a short sound without joy. "Sir, nobody sends money for kids like me." Malcolm's pulse roared. He pictured ledgers, signatures, monthly transfers marked complete. He pictured a woman's careful smile. "Lena," he said, voice steady, "where's your $2 million trust fund?" The room seemed to hold its breath as her smile faded, replaced by confusion and fear. Outside, rain hammered the windows. Malcolm stood slowly, every instinct screaming theft, failure, urgency. Somewhere, records would answer him. Somewhere, a woman would explain. But first, he took off his coat and wrapped it around Lena, deciding she would not leave him again ever now. Malcolm did not sleep that night. He sat in the shelter's small office, sleeves rolled, phone glowing, watching numbers betray him. "Her trust exists," the bank officer confirmed softly. "Opened 8 years ago. Fully funded." "Then where is it?" Malcolm asked. A pause. Keys clicking. Withdrawn. Gradually, Malcolm's jaw tightened. "By whom?" "An authorized guardian," the officer said. "Court approved." Across the room, Lena traced circles on the desk, pretending not to listen. Malcolm turned the screen toward her, then thought better and turned it away again. "Did anyone ever tell you about money set aside for you?" he asked. She shook her head. "They said I asked for too much already." The words cut deeper than numbers. The officer continued, voice careful. "The withdrawals began 3 months after your son's passing. Small sums at first. Tuition reimbursements. Living expenses. Tuition where?" Malcolm demanded. Another pause. "No institution listed." Malcolm closed his eyes. 8 years of patience. 8 years of lies wearing paperwork as camouflage. He ended the call and looked at Lena. She was peeling the label from a water bottle, slow and precise. "They told me I had to earn food," she said suddenly. "By behaving." Malcolm felt his breath hitch. "Who told you that?" "My stepmother. She said money makes children spoiled." Of course she did. He asked the shelter director for a moment alone, then knelt again. "Lena, do you know why you were sent here?" She shrugged. "They said I was difficult. I cried at night. I forgot chores." Malcolm imagined a house filled with expensive silence, a child grieving, and an adult who called grief defiance. "Do you remember signing anything?" he asked. Lena frowned. "I signed a paper once. It said I couldn't see you." The room went cold. Malcolm stood and called his attorney. "I want an emergency audit," he said, "and I want the guardianship order. Now." He turned back to Lena. "You are not difficult," he said, each word chosen. "You were abandoned." Her eyes filled, but she didn't cry. She just nodded, like someone finally told the truth aloud. His phone buzzed. A text from his lawyer. The guardian is your daughter-in-law. Full financial control. Malcolm stared at the name, at the neat legal seal that had kept him away. His voice dropped to steel. Pack your things, he told Lena. We're leaving. Where? She asked. Home, he said, then corrected himself. Somewhere safe. As I walked out, Malcolm sent one more message. Call her. Now. The lie had a name. The money had a trail. And the woman who took it was about to learn that patience, once broken, becomes war. She answered on the third ring, voice smooth as polished glass. Malcolm, she said, surprised warmth practiced to perfection. I was wondering when you'd call. I'm looking at bank statements, Malcolm replied. Explain the withdrawals. A pause measured. Lena needed structure, she said. Therapy, tutoring, supervision. Children like her are expensive. Children like her? He echoed. You know, she continued lightly, sensitive, unstable after the loss. Malcolm glanced at Lena asleep in the back seat, coat tucked to her chin. Where did she attend school? Another pause. Several programs. Name one. Silence stretched, then a sigh. Why are you interrogating me? I did my best. Malcolm felt anger rise, but he kept his voice level. The trust paid for luxury cars, overseas travel, jewelry. None of it was for Lena. That's an accusation, she snapped. It's an audit, he said. There's a difference. Her tone sharpened. You were absent. You sent money and disappeared. I raised her. You sent her to a shelter, Malcolm said. She ran away. The woman replied instantly. Too fast. Malcolm closed his eyes. The shelter has intake forms, he said. They list who delivered her. Another beat. Then laughter, brittle. You're being dramatic. I'm being precise. He ended the call and dialed his attorney again. I want timestamps matched to shelter admissions. The reply came quickly. Already done. Malcolm opened the file. Lena's admission date glowed on the screen. So did a withdrawal made the same morning. Transitional living expenses, the memo read. His hand shook. He turned the car around and drove toward the house Lena once lived in. He wanted to see it. He wanted walls to accuse. The gate opened to manicured calm. Inside, the woman waited, composed, hands folded. You're overreacting, she said. Where is every penny I sent? Malcolm asked quietly. Her eyes flicked toward the stairs. Just once. That was enough. He nodded to his attorney, who stepped forward with papers. This is an emergency petition, the lawyer said. Financial abuse. Child neglect. The woman's face drained of color. You can't do this, she whispered. Already did, Malcolm replied. From the doorway, Lena watched, small and silent, realizing the truth was louder than fear, and lies, no matter how polished, always crack. Justice had arrived, and it would not leave quietly this time for them. The auditor stopped speaking mid-sentence. Malcolm leaned forward. Say it. The pattern, she said slowly, eyes fixed on the screen, is deliberate. Monthly withdrawals, never large enough to trigger alerts. Tuition reimbursements without schools. Medical expenses without providers. It's elegant. Elegant theft. Malcolm's throat tightened. Total, $2 million, minus interest, she replied. Drained over 8 years. Across the room, Lena sat with a social worker, twisting the string of her hoodie. Malcolm watched her shoulders tense when voices rose. She had learned that raised tones meant consequences. Anything else? He asked. The auditor hesitated. There's a secondary account. A contingency trust. Malcolm's breath caught. Amount. $500,000, she said. Opened the same week. And emptied. Last month. Malcolm closed his eyes. The timing aligned perfectly with Lena's arrival at the shelter. He walked to the window, looking out at the city he controlled with meetings and money, unable to protect one child within it. Why send her away instead of disappearing her entirely? He asked. The auditor didn't answer. The social worker did. Because abandonment leaves fewer fingerprints than harm. Malcolm turned back. File for immediate custody, he told his attorney, and freeze every account connected to her. The attorney nodded. Already submitted. Lena looked up. Am I in trouble? She asked softly. Malcolm crossed the room and knelt again. No, he said. You were punished for surviving. She blinked. She said, I cost too much. He swallowed. You were worth more than she could steal. A knock sounded. Court documents arrived electronically. Temporary custody granted. Malcolm exhaled, a sound that felt like grief leaving his lungs. Pack a bag. The social worker told Lena gently. You're going somewhere safe. Lena stood, uncertain. For how long? Malcolm met her eyes. For good. As they prepared to leave, the auditor cleared her throat. There's one more thing. Malcolm stiffened. The stepmother moved the final funds to a shell company, she said. It's registered abroad. Malcolm's jaw hardened. Then she planned an exit. Yes, the auditor said. But she left a trail. Malcolm took Lena's hand as they walked out. He felt her grip tighten, then relax, then tighten again, testing permanence. Outside, the sky cleared slightly. Not enough for sunlight. Enough to see. Somewhere, a woman was running out of places to hide. And for the first time, Malcolm wasn't late to the truth, just in time to fight for what was almost stolen completely. The courtroom smelled of polish and restraint. Malcolm sat still, hands folded, while Lena swung her feet, too short to touch the floor. Across the aisle, the stepmother arrived, smiling, dressed in white, as if innocence could be tailored. The judge adjusted her glasses. We're here on an emergency petition. The stepmother spoke first. Your Honor, my stepdaughter is troubled. She lies. She runs. I sent her away for her own good. Lena's shoulders curled inward. Malcolm stood. She was sent to a shelter the same morning the final trust withdrawal cleared. That money was owed, the woman said smoothly. Compensation for years of care. Care? Malcolm asked. She slept on a cot. The judge raised a hand. Evidence. Malcolm's attorney presented files. Shelter intake forms. Bank timestamps. Photos of Lena's shoes. Silence thickened. The stepmother leaned forward, eyes wet. He abandoned her, she said, pointing at Malcolm. Money instead of love. Malcolm felt the blow land. He didn't dodge it. I trusted you, he said. That was my mistake. The judge turned to Lena. Would you like to speak? Lena froze. The stepmother smiled, reassuring. Tell the truth, darling. Lena's fingers tightened on the bench. She said if I talked, Lena whispered, I'd lose my room. The smile cracked. The judge leaned closer. What room? Lena swallowed. The one with the lock. Gasps rippled. The stepmother stood abruptly. This is absurd. The judge's voice hardened. Sit. An officer approached the stepmother, murmuring. Color drained from her face. Malcolm moved beside Lena. You don't have to say anything else. Lena nodded, then surprised herself. I didn't run away, she said. I was driven. The words landed like a verdict. The judge closed the file. Temporary custody is granted to Mr. Sterling. A criminal investigation is ordered. The stepmother's knees buckled. You can't, she breathed. Malcolm met her gaze. Already did. As the gavel fell, Lena looked up at him. Am I safe now? Malcolm squeezed her hand. Today, he said yes. Outside, reporters gathered. Inside, a door closed. And behind that door, a woman learned that lies end loudly, and children, once believed, change everything forever. But as cameras flashed, Malcolm knew safety was a process, not a moment, and the next battle would begin before sunrise, demanding vigilance, truth, and unwavering resolve together. Malcolm returned home after court with Lena silent beside him, the victory already heavy. The house was immaculate, expensive, unfamiliar. He noticed how she hovered near doorways, waiting for permission to breathe. When the housekeeper offered juice, Lena shook her head automatically, eyes lowered, rehearsed obedience etched deep inside herself from years of quiet survival. That night, Malcolm opened a locked drawer untouched since his son's death. Inside lay an envelope marked Lena, written in familiar slanted ink. His hands trembled as he unfolded the letter, realizing too late that warnings ignored do not vanish. They wait patiently, growing sharper with time and consequences for those who refuse to listen. The letter described concerns about his wife's fixation on control and money, fears dismissed as stress. It named a backup guardian a retired teacher who vanished from records years earlier. Malcolm felt shame burn. Protection delayed becomes harm. He wondered how many nights Lena cried alone because he trusted silence and distance, power, convenience, comfort. Morning brought resolve. Malcolm called investigators, reopened sealed files, traced the missing guardian to a modest town. The stepmother's narrative unraveled further, revealing patterns of isolation and punishment. Lena watched him work, unsure if adults fixing problems was real or temporary. Bracing for disappointment, she knew too, well, already from years of broken promises before. By afternoon, a courier delivered another file. Photographs, school notes, unanswered letters returned unopened. Each page tightened Malcolm's chest. This was not neglect. It was erasure. He knelt before Lena and apologized without defense. She listened, expression cautious, learning that remorse sounds different when it is real and not bargaining, delayed, strategic, or rehearsed carefully. Lena asked one question. Will she find me? Malcolm answered honestly. She may try. He promised protection, not perfection. For the first time, Lena nodded without fear. Somewhere else, the stepmother read charges forming, and Malcolm knew the storm was only gathering strength against every lie she'd built, fortified by greed, secrecy, years, and law. That night, Malcolm stood watch outside Lena's door. Power had failed once. Vigilance would not again. The letter burned in his pocket, a vow renewed. Justice was moving, slow and unstoppable. And tomorrow, he would confront the past guardian, unlocking truths still buried, demanding answers no one could avoid without consequences, accountability, repair, courage, resolve. Malcolm's phone rang at dawn. Unknown number. He answered anyway. If you take her from me, the woman said, voice stripped of softness, I will destroy you. Malcolm didn't sit. He stood by the window, watching the city wake. You already tried, he replied. You don't know what you're touching, she hissed. Your son wasn't the man you think. The word struck, aimed a wound. Malcolm closed his eyes. Say what you mean. I protected your reputation, she said. I buried things. A lie sharpened to sound like mercy. Malcolm ended the call and turned to Lena. She sat at the table, homework untouched, listening. Her face had gone pale. She's angry, Lena said quietly. That's when she hurts people. Malcolm knelt. Not you. Never again. By noon, the threat took shape. An anonymous email hit the press, hinting at scandals, blurred photos attached. Old business rivals resurfaced, eager. The timing was surgical. Malcolm's attorney called. She's bluffing, he said. But it's dangerous. It's familiar, Malcolm replied. She's used fear before. Across the room, Lena packed her bag again without being asked. Malcolm watched the reflex, the readiness to flee. Pain flashed through him. We're not running, he said firmly. A knock sounded. Police officers stepped inside with new warrants. The stepmother had attempted to move remaining assets and contact Lena through a school intermediary. She won't stop, the officer said. Malcolm nodded. Then neither will I. He requested a protective order. Security doubled. Routes changed. Power became purpose. That evening, Lena finally asked, Is this my fault? Malcolm answered without pause. No. This is what happens when lies are challenged. Outside, a car idled too long. Security moved. The message was clear, intimidation. Malcolm held Lena's hand. She wants you scared, he said. Fear is her last tool. Lena straightened, small shoulders squaring. Then I won't give it to her. At midnight, news broke, financial fraud charges filed. The stepmother's accounts frozen worldwide. Malcolm watched the alert glow on his phone. The threat had failed. But as sirens echoed faintly, he understood the truth. When abusers lose control, they escalate. And tomorrow, she would make her boldest move yet. He prepared for it, knowing survival demanded courage, witnesses, and a child's safety placed above pride, legacy, fear, and vengeance at any cost now. Sirens sliced the morning as police cars lined the curb outside the house. Lena froze by the window, breath shallow, eyes tracking blue lights bouncing across walls. Malcolm moved first, pulling her back, signaling security. A voice boomed from a megaphone. "Step outside." The words weren't for her, but fear doesn't negotiate. Malcolm felt the past press closer, threats becoming action. He squeezed Lena's hand, steady as stone, and walked toward the door, heart hammering once hard. Officers poured onto the lawn, measured, relentless, warrants raised like shields. The stepmother's car idled nearby, engine running, door open. She shouted his name, smiling too wide. "I just want to talk," she called. Lena shrank. Malcolm stepped between them. "You lost that right," he said. An officer read charges: fraud, coercion, child endangerment. The smile collapsed. Hands trembled. Cuffs clicked. The engine stalled. Useless. Lena watched, pulse loud, relief mixed with terror. Justice arrived, noisy, final. The stepmother twisted, crying, pointing, spinning stories even now. "She's manipulating you," she sobbed. He abandoned her. Malcolm didn't respond. He watched Lena stand straighter, chin lifted. "Stop," Lena said, voice thin but clear. Silence rippled. The officers paused. Lena swallowed. "She took my letters." Malcolm felt pride ache. The woman lunged, rage naked. Two officers held her. "Enough," one warned. The world tilted, then steadied. Truth had weight. Lies broke under it. Lena breathed, still standing. Inside, the door shut, sealing out noise and ghosts. Malcolm crouched before Lena. "You did nothing wrong," he said. She nodded, tears falling without shame. An officer returned paperwork. Protective custody confirmed. Outside, the stepmother screamed promises of revenge. Malcolm signed, pen steady. He wrapped Lena in his coat. Her hand shook, then slowed. "Is it over?" she asked. He answered honestly, "This part." Sirens faded. Breathing synced. Safety arrived, fragile but real. Tomorrow waited. They would night fell with locks, checked twice, and lights left on. Malcolm sat beside Lena's bed, listening until sleep took her. His phone buzzed. An alert. Extradition requested. Assets seized. Relief surged, brief. He knew trauma wakes early. Tomorrow would test trust. He whispered a vow, not to money, but presence. Outside, a city moved on unaware. Inside, a child slept guarded. The storm passed, leaving work. Malcolm stayed, counting breaths, building safety minute by minute against forgetting. Morning arrived without sirens, and the quiet frightened Lena more than noise. She woke before dawn, heart racing, listening for footsteps that never came. Malcolm found her sitting on the floor, lining shoes beneath the bed, hiding what little could be taken. He knelt, steady, but did not stop her. He watched until she finished, then spoke. "You're safe," he said. She nodded, unconvinced. At breakfast, she ate quickly, eyes darting to doors. When the housekeeper offered seconds, Lena wrapped bread in a napkin and slid it into her pocket. Malcolm noticed, said nothing. Control, he knew, grows from patience. A therapist arrived, gentle voice, open hands. Lena sat stiff, answering with yes and no. Malcolm listened from the hall, guilt pounding. The therapist asked about nights. Lena shrugged. "Nights are loud," she said, "even when it's quiet." Malcolm closed his eyes. Later, a courier delivered confirmation. The trusts were restored, interest accruing, protections layered. $2.5 million now sat waiting, clean and guarded. Malcolm held the letter, then set it down. Money was not the problem. Absence was. He took Lena to the shelter. Her breath caught. "Why?" she asked, fear rising. "To finish something," he said. They arrived quietly. Volunteers froze, surprised. Children stared. Lena stepped forward, small, brave. She found her old cot and placed the bread on it. "For whoever needs it," she said. Malcolm felt his chest split open. Outside, reporters gathered, cameras hungry. Malcolm shielded Lena with his body, then turned to the microphones. "No child should vanish behind paperwork," he said. "Watch the systems you trust." That night, Lena slept in the bed without hiding shoes. She woke once, crying, and Malcolm came immediately. No delay, no explanation. He stayed until breathing slowed. Before sleep returned, Lena asked, "If the money is back, Does that mean I matter? Malcolm answered carefully. You mattered before anyone noticed. She studied him, searching, then she nodded once. In the dark, Malcolm understood the truth. Restoring accounts was easy. Restoring belief would be the longest fight of his life, and the only one that mattered. He resolved to stay, to listen, to show up daily, building trust slowly, brick by brick, until fear loosened, mourning softened, and a child learned that safety could last, even when quiet returned. Home. By noon the story was everywhere. Screens bloomed with headlines as Malcolm crossed the lobby, Lena's hand tucked into his coat. Cameras flashed. Names trended. Truth traveled faster than protection. Say something, an aide urged. Malcolm didn't stop. He stepped to the podium anyway. This is about a child, he said. Not my balance sheet. Questions flew. Who knew? When? Why shelters? He answered without ornament, without names. We failed to look, he said. Now we will. Inside, Lena watched from a quiet room, the volume low. She saw strangers argue about her life. Her chest tightened. A producer requested a photo. Malcolm refused. Minutes later, a judge signed the injunction. No contact, no intermediaries. The order hummed in Malcolm's phone like a shield. Then the call came. She's agreed to talk, the prosecutor said. She wants a deal. Malcolm closed his eyes. No, he said. Truth first. The deal collapsed. Charges multiplied. Outside, a chant formed, support, outrage, noise. Malcolm ushered Lena to the car. A man shoved forward. Security blocked him. You owe us details, the man shouted. Malcolm turned. Children don't owe explanations, he said. At home, donations surged to shelters nationwide. Boards convened. Audits began. The machine moved. Lena sat at the table, coloring. They're watching, she whispered. Yes, Malcolm said. And we'll decide what they see. He turned the cameras off for the night. In the quiet, a knock sounded. A woman stood there, older, nervous. I was named as backup, she said. I tried to reach you. Malcolm let her in. The woman produced letters, unopened, stamped returned. Lena stared, breath caught. She kept me away, the woman said softly. Malcolm felt the past rearrange. Lena touched the envelopes. There for me? Yes, the woman said. Lena held them to her chest, shaking. Malcolm understood the risk. Public storms don't heal private wounds. Tonight, the world watched. Tomorrow, choices would define safety. He stood guard, knowing attention fades fast, and protection must outlast it. He chose silence over spectacle, routine over rage. Breakfast, school calls, bedtime stories. Each small act stitched fear shut. Outside, sirens of opinion wailed. Inside, promises were kept. He would be boring, relentless, present. The cameras could wait. The child could not. Protection is built daily, quietly, until trust stands firm against every returning shadow, forever now. Night sharpened questions. Lena sat on the edge of the bed, letters spread like fragile shields. Malcolm waited, standing, hands open. Why didn't you come sooner? She asked. The question landed clean, no accusation, only gravity. Malcolm inhaled. I trusted paperwork, he said. I trusted distance. I was wrong. She read a letter aloud, stumbling over dates. She wrote you. Lena said. You didn't answer. I never received them, Malcolm replied. That's not an excuse. Silence stretched. Lena folded a letter. If you leave, she said, tell me. I won't leave, Malcolm said. She looked up. Promise? I promise to show up, he said. Every time. A knock interrupted. Security handed Malcolm a phone. The prosecutor again. She's panicking, he said. She's blaming the child. Malcolm's voice cooled. Document it. He ended the call and returned to Lena. She's trying to pull you back into the story, he said. I don't want to be a story, Lena whispered. You won't be, Malcolm said. You'll be a person. Morning brought school interviews. Hallways. Questions. Lena's pulse raced. Malcolm walked beside her, not ahead. When a counselor asked about home, Lena paused, then spoke. It's quiet, she said. That helps. At lunch, she ate slowly. No pocketing. Progress measured in breaths. That afternoon, the judge called. Permanent custody granted. No appeal. Malcolm closed his eyes. Lena searched his face. What happened? It's final, he said. She waited. Then, softly, can I call you Grandpa? The word cracked him. Yes, he said. Evening fell. Sirens stayed away. Malcolm tucked Lena in, lights low. She held one letter to her chest. If fear comes back, she said, will you come? I'll be here before it knocks, he said. As sleep took her, Malcolm understood the tension had changed. The enemy was no longer outside. It was memory, and presence was the only defense that worked. He stayed awake, listening, cataloging shadows, choosing patience over speeches. Tomorrow would test routines, backpacks, forms, boundaries. The past would try again, wearing urgency. Malcolm prepared to answer with repetition, warmth, and witnesses. Justice would proceed without mercy, but healing demanded mercy daily. He accepted the weight, knowing love is vigilance practiced quietly, repeatedly, until fear loosens its grip and trust breathes for them both now, together, unafraid, at last, in this fragile home. Morning came with signatures. Malcolm sat across polished wood as the final order was read, voice even, consequences sealed. Lena waited outside, palms sweating, listening for footsteps. When the clerk nodded, Malcolm exhaled. Done did not mean easy. It meant possible. Outside, Lena asked, is she gone? Yes, Malcolm said. She cannot reach you. They drove to the bank. Not for ceremony. For choice. Malcolm slid a folder across the desk. This is yours, he told Lena. You decide. Inside lay statements, safeguards, and a modest first check. Lena stared. I don't want it to disappear, she said. It won't, Malcolm said. We built walls. They left without cameras. At the shelter, Lena asked to stop. Volunteers recognized her, unsure. Lena stepped forward, steady. I'm okay, she said. I came back to say thank you. She handed the director an envelope. The check. Gas followed. For beds, Lena said. And lights. Malcolm felt the tension spike. Too much, too soon. But he watched her breathe through it. Choice had replaced fear. At home, reporters waited. Malcolm faced them alone. This ends here, he said. No photos. No names. The crowd thinned. That night, Lena placed a small box on Malcolm's desk. Inside was a key from the shelter locker. I don't need it, she said. He nodded, throat tight. A message arrived. Assets recovered. Sentencing scheduled. Malcolm muted the phone. The storm could finish without them. Lena climbed into bed, calm but alert. If I give money away, she asked, will people expect things? Sometimes, Malcolm said. You can say no. She smiled, small and certain. Then I will. Lights dimmed. Silence held. Malcolm stayed until sleep came. He understood the deeper truth at last. Protection isn't wealth. It's permission to choose to say no, to belong. Morning would bring school, routines, ordinary worries. That was the victory. He closed the door softly, leaving it open a crack, promising presence over power forever. He turned back once, listening. No cries, only breathing. The house learned their names. Tomorrow he would teach boundaries, apologies, joy. She would learn waiting ends. Together, they would practice safety until it felt boring, reliable, permanent. The trust fund question answered itself. Where money failed, people stayed. And the future opened quietly, guarded by choice, courage, witnesses, time, together always in daylight. At last you've listened to the last of the story. What's your take and view? Subscribing to our channel would go a long way.